Update. My family is blaming me for a fight after my half-brother destroyed pictures of my mom. Original story. So a bit of backstory. I, 16 male, recently moved in with my dad, 47 male after my mom died. Dad's never really been in my life, and he and my mom were never married. He has a wife, Susan, 48 female, and two other kids, Amy, 14 female, and Matt, 18 male. So when I ended up moving in with my dad, it obviously caused a lot of issues with the rest of the family. Nobody wanted me there. It basically gave me the cold shoulder. Susan, Matt, and Amy tend to talk with each other in French because they know that I can't understand them, and my dad has tried to force an English-only rule in the house with little luck. For the first month, Matt just ignored me completely, even though he and I were forced to share a room since the house didn't have any space. I tried to be nice, but I just lost my mom and it hurts, and it's been so much change so quickly. 2 days ago, though, I found postcards and pictures and letters from my mom ripped into a bunch of pieces and scattered all across my bed. I kept them in a box under my bed, and Matt had been the only one in the house with me at the time, so I know he did it. I started yelling at him, and we ended up verbally fighting right as Susan and Amy got back home. I can't remember what Matt said anymore because I was so mad that I wasn't thinking straight, but I remember hitting him. We both exchanged a couple of punches and I accidentally elbowed Amy in the nose while she and Susan were trying to separate us, so she was bleeding too. When my dad got home, we were all still yelling and Susan was trying to throw me out of the house. I couldn't stop crying because I just had my only actual photos of my mom ruined, and I don't know if we can fix them. My dad tried to settle everyone down, but didn't end up punishing Matt because there's no actual proof that he did it. I got in trouble for throwing the first punch, and Susan is still trying to convince my dad to send me somewhere else. Both Amy and Matt kept telling me that I ruined their family by coming here, but I didn't really have a choice. I know I shouldn't have hit Matt, but I was so mad and didn't think. I know it shouldn't have escalated anything, but am I really the one at fault here? I don't know how I'm supposed to live with Matt anymore. Now for the top advice before reading the update. These parents need to hold somebody accountable because obviously your pictures didn't just rip themselves up. You're right that you shouldn't have hit your half-brother, but assuming that your mom passed away rather recently, you're in grief. So it's not unreasonable that you'd be upset by this. I'm sorry this happened to you. That's a truly awful thing to discover. It's been about 2.5 months and it was really sudden. My mom and I were really close, and I think I've seen my dad twice before I had to go live with him, and not for almost a decade. I know I still have recent pictures on my phone, but it's not the same. Yeah, I can only imagine how hard everything is right now. Your whole life has been basically flipped upside down. Is there anyone on your mom's side you could talk to? Maybe even live with for a few years until you're old enough to get your own place? I think that would be worth exploring, to get yourself out of this environment that doesn't seem to be getting off on the right foot. It's just my grandparents on my mom's side, and they basically disown her because my dad was married to his wife when my mom got pregnant. They're very religious and I haven't had any contact with them since I was born. They didn't even come to her funeral. You should probably talk to your dad about how you feel. This is not a good home environment at all. I've tried, and I think he's just trying to be the good guy on both sides. He knows everyone else doesn't want me there, but it's been hard on them too, so he's trying to be mindful of that, I guess. But I feel like it's at my expense. And now for the first update. So I've posted about this in here before, but things have gotten worse, and I feel like I don't know how to navigate it. It's been about 6 months since I had to move in with my dad and his family after my mom died, and I still feel like his wife and my half-siblings despise me just for being there. The issue of my mom's pictures getting destroyed turned what was already an awful situation into something that is just hurting me. I ended up sleeping on the couch for almost 2 months because I couldn't stand the sight of my half-brother Matt after what he did to my stuff, and started carrying a backpack around the house with anything personal that I had brought from my mom's apartment wherever I went so nothing else could be damaged. Matt ended up apologizing to me, but it seemed more of a show from my dad than an actual apology to me. My dad's wife Susan and my half-sister Amy still barely acknowledge me, and still almost exclusively use French in the house, which I'm only now starting to pick up words in conversation for. I've always felt like a stranger at this house, and while I understand why they don't want me around, I don't know what I can do to try and make things work. The worst of it came 3 weeks ago when I lost my keys to the house and got stuck out in the rain after I came home. I tried calling my dad, but he didn't pick up, and I rang the doorbell as many times as I could because I saw Susan's car outside the house, so I knew she was home. There wasn't much close by us, so I couldn't walk anywhere to wait. By the time my dad got home an hour and a half later, I was soaked and cold, And when we got inside, Susan just said that she was on a call and couldn't hear the doorbell ringing. I couldn't even talk to her and just went upstairs and cried in the bathroom before going to bed. My dad apologized later for not seeing my message sooner, but that's not really the issue here. I feel sick living here and can barely eat or sleep half the time. My grades are tanking and I don't feel like I can talk to anyone. I miss my mom, and everyone is pretending like she never existed. And I have to basically do the same thing so nobody at home gets mad at me. The main issue is, a week ago my dad's best friend and his husband, who I've met a couple times and stayed with the first couple nights, after I reconnected with my dad while he was trying to figure out how to bring me home, heard about me being locked out of the house and asked if I wanted to come stay with them for a while. I want to say yes so bad, because anywhere has to be better than where I'm staying now. But I know it's going to cause issues with my dad because he ruined his entire relationship with his family to be able to bring me home so I wouldn't have to go into foster care, and it's going to seem incredibly ungrateful. I know my dad's trying. He really is, but I don't know what am I going to do if I have to keep living in this house until I turn 18. How do I broach the subject with him? Is trying to move out even worth it at this point, or should I just toughen up and deal with it for the next year and a half? You're living in a hostile environment. With time, that will really affect your health negatively. You've been offered a safe space to live. Don't walk, but run in that direction. Your dad is the adult. Let him deal all of the negative consequences. Put yourself first. I'm really sorry about the loss of your mother. Honestly, I feel like it probably already is. I'm so tired all of the time but can't sleep and somehow still can't get out of bed in the morning. I feel like I haven't even got any chance to breathe or process the fact that my mom's gone because there's been so much change so quick, which is also kind of why I don't want to have to move houses again. I am so sorry. Your father's wife and your half-siblings have a lot of misplaced anger. Do they treat your father the same way they've been treating you? Although in relation to the advice you're seeking, that's neither here nor there. I would definitely take your dad's friends up on the offer, even if it's just for a short while. You need to get out of that toxic situation. You also need to have a frank talk with your dad. Is he backing you up in these situations, or does he stand by and let them treat you like that? You're going through a rough time, and it must be terrible to feel like no one is there to support you. There was definitely a lot of tension between my dad, Amy, and Susan, but that seems to have mostly gone away after the first couple months. Matt seems still pissed at him, but it kind of feels like they just turned all that anger on me. I've tried talking to my dad about it, at least a little, but there aren't a lot of times where it's just the two of us, and I don't feel comfortable saying anything in front of everyone else. Nobody really does anything to me in front of my dad, except the language thing, which he does try and stop every time he catches it. But Matt and Susan usually just do things behind his back to hurt me. But I think my dad doesn't want to believe that his wife and kids are capable of treating me like that. What an awful situation. I'm so sorry for the loss of your mother. As a mother myself, I want nothing more than to take you in and give you the longest hug ever. If I were your mom, I'd tell you to go where you're safest. Your dad's household is not safe, and is actively damaging your mental and physical health. I get that your father is doing his best, and it's kind of an impossible position he's in trying to placate everyone. But here's the thing. As your parents, his priority should be your health and safety, even if it means you living under a different roof. Now, I don't know this other couple, but the fact that they were willing to house a strange teenager with a troubled family history puts them in a very positive light in my eyes. They didn't have to do that. Most people wouldn't, but they did. You have the option of going back, where you'd be safe. Please prioritize yourself. That being said, I don't know the best way of going about it. One commenter mentioned going for a weekend, then a bit more frequently to ease the transition. I like this idea, but I worry about your stepmother retaliating somehow. It sounds like anything she can do to make you suffer, she will. Maybe she'll impose your dad to forbid you from going over there because she'd rather you be miserable. On the other hand, she may be overjoyed to finally be rid of you. I suggest you make a plan. One option is to try to ease the transition route, but be prepared to 100% move out the first sign of things going awry. Another option is to straight up move out. Talk to your dad first. If he can't make time for one-on-one time with his kid, then screw it. Leave. You'll have your answer. That's nice he kept you out of the foster system, but don't mistake him doing the bare minimum as something you need to repay. You don't owe him a damn thing. Take care of you first. Sending you lots of mom love. Reach out anytime. I mean it. Honestly, when I read this comment, I had to go sit outside and cry for a little bit, because just the thought of getting a hug from my mom was enough to set me off. I really needed that. Thank you. My dad's best friend and his husband are really nice. from the times we've interacted, and are honestly the only ones who put all the blame on my dad for actually having the affair, and then keeping me a secret until it had to come out. They know none of this is my fault, and I think they're just trying to figure out a way to help me, and I don't really feel like I deserve it considering how little they know me. I'll try and figure out how to get my dad alone this weekend because I don't know how much more of this I can take. And now for the final update. It's been about a week since I talked to my dad, and I've had a couple people message me about an update, so I figured I'd give one. For those who didn't see my original post, I had to move in with my dad and his family after my mom died, and things have been extremely strained. The worst incidences being my half-brother ripping pictures of my mom up and my dad's wife leaving me locked out of the house. So I was given the offer to move out by my dad's friend and his husband, both in their 30s. I followed a couple people's suggestion and texted my dad's friend that I wanted to leave, and they ended up suggesting we all go out to lunch. I think they could both tell how nervous I was around my dad, and my dad's friend John ended up being the one to bring up the idea of me moving out. My dad seemed completely blindsided by it and asked why I wanted to move out. John and his husband Ben reminded him about everything that's been going on at home, and I just kind of sat there. My dad seemed really upset, and it made me feel terrible because I already felt guilty about leaving. But then he just asked if I really wanted to go. I said yes, and he just immediately agreed. It kind of hit me that I wanted him to try and fight for me, to say sorry for everything that's been letting happen, and for my dad to try and keep me at home. But he just let me go like it was nothing. It's been hard after my mom died, and my dad's the only family I've got left, so it really didn't make me feel any better about leaving, even though I don't have to deal with my dad's family anymore. Ben took me back to their apartment while John went with my dad to get my stuff from the house, and they had set up their extra room for me already. He apologized that they didn't have been able to do this sooner, and that they hoped I would like living with them. John came back with all of my things, and they kind of gave me time to decompress. I ended up sleeping for almost 16 hours because I was so exhausted. Over the last week, they've been really nice about making me feel at home, and have talked to me about getting me to therapy to deal with losing my mom and everything that happened at my dad's house. They're also trying to figure out how to move me into a different school so I don't have to deal with my half-sister and everyone that knew my half-brother. It's the first time in months that I feel like I can actually breathe, and I don't feel like I'm constantly on guard. My dad hasn't texted me much nor reached out in the last week, so I don't know what's going to happen with him, but for now, I'm safe, I guess. So that's what happened so far. Thanks for everyone that gave me advice and wished me well. It's been really hard lately, and it's made me feel less alone. Wow, man. Before reading this update, I went back and read the other posts, and all I can say is, I'm really glad your dad's friends offered you a place to stay. While I understand that your father's wife was blindsided by the son of her husband and his affair partner, your mom obviously, suddenly living with her, there's absolutely no excuse for her and her kids treating you like trash. Good luck getting school stuff figured out. I'm so happy that you're happy, Opie, but I think you have a mistake in your post. You wrote, "It's been hard after my mom died and my dad's the only family I've got left." Some random people just gave you a home. Someone who basically didn't really know you before offered a spare room to you and that they'll take care for you. They're organizing school stuff. They're there for you. They're dealing with your problems. They know when they should speak for you and give you the time you need. You have at least 2 more family members, Opie. You just got adopted. Maybe not legally, but people just adopted you in their lives. You're not alone. They're going to do wonders for Opie's mental health. A solid, caring support system is what Opie has now. A loving family is what Opie has now, like you said. I sincerely wish you well going forward. Hopefully the men caring for you now will show you the support you need and deserve. They're already demonstrating more character and presence than your father did. His failures are his to own, and don't reflect on you. As for your half-siblings and your father's wife, their abhorrent behavior is another example of your father's failures. Rather stepping up to stop their mistreatment and be an adult, he chose to hide like a coward. He's a poor example of a parent, and in the future you'll likely look back at this moment as a blessing because it got you away from him. Same here. This is rude, but it sounds like you're already in a much better place, Opie. The only thing I would add that I didn't see mentioned is it would be good to talk about legal guardianship/adoption to give John and Ben more ability to help you with things like college and any medical things. It would be better to have the people you're living with know what's happening to have that ability. The other option is emancipation. Am I the a-hole for laughing in my sister-in-law's face when she DNA tested my daughter? I, 30 male, have a daughter who is 6. I am not biologically related to her at all. There is no blood relation between us. I was friends with her mother for most all of my childhood. We were never involved romantically and were always just friends. She had her daughter at 23 with her 25-year-old husband. When my daughter was a newborn, about 3 months technically, both her mother and father were killed. I won't go into too much detail for privacy reasons, but it was workplace shooting. A friend and her husband had worked in the same building and were both killed. Both my friend and her husband had grown up with less than ideal families and didn't have any siblings, so there wasn't any next of kin for their daughter to go to. However, because I was close with them, I was able to adopt her. Even though I had been iffy about the idea of kids, I didn't want their daughter to grow up in foster care or around people who didn't have a connection to her bio parents, so I stepped in. My parents and siblings know that my daughter is not my actual daughter biologically speaking. My daughter, I'll call Lily for the post, also knows that she's adopted. I never really hid the fact that she was adopted. She knows her parents are gone and were killed by a bad man, but I'm saving the details for when she's older. Lily does not look like me at all. She looks exactly like her mother and biological dad. Most people assume that I'm her bio dad and that she just took after her mom. I don't ever really correct this when and if people assume this because it just seems unnecessary. My brother has been with his fiancée for about 2 years now. A few weeks ago, we were all meeting up at my parents' house, and my sister-in-law saw an old picture of me, my friend, and her husband. She pointed to my friend and asked who she was, and I explained that she was Lily's mother. Sister-in-law got quiet and stood in front of the picture for a while. I didn't think much of it. To clarify, she knows my friend died, but I guess didn't know that she had been married or that Lily is not my bio daughter. I suppose she assumed my daughter was mine and my friend's biological daughter. My sister-in-law got a DNA test done on my daughter behind my back. She used my brother's DNA for the test, and when it came back that they weren't related, she knew that meant me and Lily weren't related. She came up to me with the results and waved them in my face, saying that I was taking care of a dead woman's affair baby. She said this to me in front of my daughter. I just stared at her for a while before bursting out laughing at this. I told her I knew Lily wasn't my biological daughter and that this thing called adoption exists. Her face went red and she stormed off. My brother is mad I embarrassed his fiancée, but I said she embarrassed herself by DNA testing a kid that isn't hers and then parading the results up to me. What did she want me to do? What was her goal with this? Did she want me to break down and abandon my daughter? My brother said she thought she was doing the right thing and called me an a-hole. I don't feel like the a-hole, especially considering my sister-in-law was the one who stuck her nose where it doesn't belong. I'm asking for Reddit opinions, mostly just for validation. So was I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Saying that I was taking care of a dead woman's affair baby. Did she not understand that the photo she saw was of the dead woman and her husband? Did she assume you were somehow married to the dead woman? Aren't you presently married to your very much alive wife? Literally, all this could have been avoided if she asked, or if you shared. Those are my daughter's bio parents, who sadly passed away. We were good friends, so I adopted their daughter. You shouldn't have to tell people things or correct them every time, but it can help when you do. I can see how she assumed that we were together. In the picture, I had my arm around her shoulders. This was before my friend was married to her husband. At the time that picture was taken, they were just friends. Not the a-hole. She wanted to stir some stuff up. That's a heck of a lot of effort to help. Also, I'd be mad about how she got Lily's DNA to do this. It didn't go the way she thought it would, so she got mad. Your brother is just trying to side with his soon-to-be wife. Also be ticked she revealed the truth in front of Lily. She deliberately tried to hurt the child. That's what get me the most. What if Lily hadn't known she was adopted? Heck, what if Lily had been conceived with a sperm donor? There are so many reasons that this was none of that woman's business, and she stuck her nose into it in the worst way possible by waving the results around in front of people. She could have talked to her fiancé first, but must not have because Opie says his siblings know she's adopted. Instead of his brother being mad at Opie, he should be mad as heck at his fiancé.
This would also ruin all credibility that woman has with me for anything. Anytime she brings something up, I would from now forward think she's being aforementioned drama cauldron or just making up stories she's decided must be shared as the gospel truth. I need to add this. She did this in front of your daughter to maximize the damage she thought she was exposing. That is straight up evil. OP is the least not the a-hole ever. Fiancé must be very young and still in high school mentality, but with adult resources. Who bring information like this up to everyone? She wanted a scene and she got one. High school mentality but with adult resources. This is a great phrase. I'm glad I learned this one today. Now for the first update. My sister-in-law ended up coming to my house and apologizing, as well as telling me the full story. My brother put her up to the DNA test. When I first adopted Lily, my brother, for some reason, believed that Lily was my bio daughter. He thought that me and Lily's mom were together and just weren't telling anyone. He believes that when she got pregnant, Lily's mom told me that Lily was mine, and that she was going to just say that it was her husband's, and I went along with it because I didn't really want kids. Sister-in-law was under the impression I believed I was Lily's bio dad. She saw the picture of Lily's mom and I, and after asking for clarification on who she was, assumed we were together in it, and then got suspicious when she saw that the other guy in the picture, Lily's actual bio dad, looked a lot like Lily. I also want to clarify, I didn't tell her that Lily's bio dad was in the picture because she had specifically pointed to Lily's mom, and I assumed she knew that Lily was adopted. I didn't know my brother had been telling her lies for nearly 2 years. She got the DNA test out of her own suspicions, and my brother helped her with it because he thought it would reveal that I was actually Lily's bio dad. He manipulated her into thinking that it would clear the air of suspicion, when really, he was just trying to prove that I was really Lily's bio dad and lying about the reasons for adoption. Well, of course the results proved I wasn't Lily's bio dad, and my brother was wrong. My brother felt too embarrassed to confess to his fiancée that he had lied about the circumstances, which is why sister-in-law confronted me with the results. My sister-in-law also apologized for showing me the results in front of my daughter. She told me that her mom had an affair and cheated on her father, got pregnant with another man's kid, and had let her father believe the kid was his. Her father was devastated by this when he found out, and she grew very resentful of women who do that to their spouses. She had wanted to sit me down and talk to me about it with my daughter, but when she saw me with my daughter, she got angry thinking I was being led on to believe I was raising my daughter when I was actually raising another man's kid, and she ended up exploding and immediately waved the results in my face. My sister-in-law does feel very guilty, and she's angry at my brother for lying to her. I'm not angry at her for doing the test because she thought she was doing the right thing. I also forgave her for the way she told me about the results because clearly affairs are a sensitive subject for her, and I can understand why she would have exploded like that. I'm pretty sure she plans to break up with my brother now, and I don't blame her. When I called and asked my brother about this, he admitted it. When I asked why he would think this, he said that he couldn't think of a reason why a man who had been against having kids at a time would willingly adopt a baby without having a blood connection to it. He told sister-in-law that I was Lily's bio dad and was aware of the fact. He took it a step further and said that me and Lily's mom were together at the time of Lily's conception. Both me and my parents are going low contact with my brother for a while now. I know I will forgive my brother eventually, but I can't do that right now. He believed I was low enough to have an affair with a married woman, get her pregnant, take no responsibility, allow her to pass off the kid as another man's, and then only take responsibility because her mom died. Both your brother and sister-in-law are getting off too lightly. He butted into your family and lied to his wife. And sensitive issue or not, she still violated your daughter's privacy, then called her an affair child derisively in front of her. Yeah, for real. His daughter is hurt by this, not OP. OP has every right to slap his brother at Christmas. Slap and press charges, because they did not have authorization from the minor's parent to harvest the minor's DNA. OP, your a-hole brother called your child it. How in the heck is this forgivable? Why just low contact? Some people were saying I should sue and or press charges on her. I don't want to do that. She was manipulated into doing this. And I don't want to deal with the hassle. I honestly just want to put this whole thing behind me and move on. When I asked why he would think this, he said that he couldn't think of a reason why a man who had been against having kids at a time would willingly adopt a baby without having a blood connection to it. Your brother really showing his whole ass here. Your brother was both a terrible sibling and partner. He riled up his fiancée based on her trauma in order to enlist her to help in deceiving you. Awful. I really want to stress this point. Took the words right out of my mouth. I'm not mad at my sister-in-law because I know she was manipulated into doing this by my brother. I wish more people could understand that. You're a bigger person than I am. Everything is on your brother except for the crude announcement in front of the 6-year-old. You're all Lily has a parent. Your smooth reaction is the only thing that stopped sister-in-law's actions from being devastating. Second update. Some people were wondering what happened with my brother and sister-in-law. Well, she dumped him. They tried to make it work, but that only lasted a few days and she ended up giving him the ring back. My brother got faced drunk on my front lawn in the middle of the night. I was angry because Lily had school the next morning and this woke her up. My brother was yelling insults to both me and my daughter. We called police and he spent the night in jail for drunken disturbance. I believe the official charge was something like that. I sure as heck pressed charges because he was saying some borderline threatening statements to me and my daughter. I don't think it's enough to qualify for a restraining order, but if it is, I'll get a temporary one. On a more positive note, Lily is doing well. She's getting straight A's in every subject and is excited about her first ever science project. She's been talking my ear off about it. Send help. Lol. Last story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my son out of our house? So here's the deal. My 23-year-old son got lucky with some money, about $200,000 from a windfall, and since then, he's been coasting. He doesn't have a job, doesn't even try to get one, and worst of all, refuses to contribute to anything around the house. We're talking bills, groceries, even basic stuff like helping with chores. He just sits around all day playing video games or hanging out with his friends, and anytime I bring up the idea of pitching in, he just brushes me off with some excuse about how he's figuring things out. I've given him more than enough chances to step up. I ask him to at least pay some rent or cover his own food expenses, but he straight up refused. I'm not asking for much, just a little bit of responsibility, since he's living under my roof rent-free. I try to have a calm conversation about how things need to change, but he got defensive, saying that it's his money and he can do what he wants with it. I don't want to sound greedy, but it's not fair that I'm still paying for everything while he's sitting on a small fortune. After months of this back and forth, I finally told him he needed to start contributing or find somewhere else to live. He thought I was bluffing, but when he still refused, I packed up his stuff and told him to go. Now he's crashing at a friend's place and telling everyone I'm being unreasonable and unsupportive. Some family members are saying I should have just let it go, since he's young and has money, but I feel like he's taking advantage of me. I just want him to act like an adult and not mooch off me forever. So am I the a-hole for kicking him out? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your son is taking advantage of you. He would have continued. Sometimes you gotta baby bird kids out of house. He's 23. He's not a child. He's young, but if he thinks he's adult enough to stiff his landlord, he deserves the wake-up call. It's his money. He can spend it on what he wants. If he wants to sleep on couches and have no home, but have $200 in the bank, he's an adult. Let him. He will figure it out, but he's gonna figure it out on his time. No reason to continue wasting yours while he catches up to reality. I would have booted him, and as my mom always said and as I tell my stepkids, I'm your parent and I will always love you no matter what. But sometimes I don't like who you choose to be. My mom tells all of us the same thing. Hers is, I love you but I don't like you right now. This was literally part of my vows with my husband. I vowed to always love him, as love is an active choice. I knew there would be times I wouldn't like him, and those are rare, but they happen. You are not the a-hole. Your son is an adult and needs to take responsibility. You were more than generous to allow him to live rent-free and contribute nothing. It's your house and your rules, and he needs to respect that. I've seen more 23-year-olds than I care to admit display impeccable and yet radical decision-making abilities. He shouldn't be any different, and anyone trying to steer him towards the direction of that possibility isn't an a-hole. Not a-hole. You did not kick out somebody who was going to be broke and homeless. He has the financial means to take care of himself. He is a whole grown up now, and he can provide for himself. It is not your job to endlessly cover his living expenses while he has fun money. The money will run out, and when it does, it would encourage you to not let him move back in. He has more than enough funds to start and maintain his adult life while he finds himself.